Hello and welcome to Living with Intention Live. I am very excited about this conversation. All of my lives, I usually am, although this one is even more magnificent because I have three courageous souls with us today. And our conversation is rooted in resiliency, right? Because we're talking about such a tender subject, cancer, as it's touched anyone's life in the world. I don't think there's anyone on this planet that cancer has not touched, including my own. And I'll share that about my experience with that when I was very young with my father. And this invites you to, be a little bit more present, when life doesn't go as planned, when we get some news about ourselves or a loved one that's going through this affects the whole ecosystem of our family, of our friendships, of communities. And so we're inviting these three amazing people to talk about how they share it in their own stories. They're each amazing authors, and such as Dr. Rebecca Kokendorfer, right? She teaches mindfulness in a way that brings people back to themselves. And Tammy Cohen, she reshaped how she communicated and connected with her own family through this cancer experience. And of course, Russ Hedge, he's just that purposeful leader and just sharing his story, deep, really deep connecting information there he shares. And he's not afraid to share that because people need to know this so that way they can feel that they're capable to get through those challenging times. This is about resiliency, and each of their paths might be different, but it's about what they chose, to show up for themselves, in life, for their family and their community too. And so conversations like this really live in the heart of wellness, as this is what Living with Intention Live are all about. I love to talk about different aspects of wellness. And it's just not about finding that calm and easiness of restoration. It's about honesty and support as we communicate to each other, which takes courage. And so this is why I'm excited about this conversation. And this also kind of weaves into how I connect with my community, and that's through my Bali retreats. So I host a Bali retreat that really invites people to be in that community aspect, to be in that space to where they can feel supported. They can show up and be held in that place where we feel more open, relaxed, bring that community together. And we do this in such a special way. I don't know of anyone else that holds retreats like this, to where we're just not being on property, but we're going out into the community. We're connecting with people, with real life. We're having experiences with a dance school, a children's dance school. We're giving back to the community. We're exploring a waterfall and other temples and such. So that's what also builds resiliency in our lives, is we're getting outside of our bubble, connecting with other cultures, other people. And this is where we're learning more about ourselves in the process. It's so important to know that, we're not alone, that we have that support. And speaking of which, and not being alone, this is how I met Russ and Tammy, was through the Hounds of Business community. And this is Mike Asherbranner, and he's the founder of Hounds of Business. And we have this amazing support for business-minded people, whether they're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners. It doesn't matter. It's all about us showing up and supporting each other and being in that space to where we can grow and rise together. So I just want to give a shout out to Mike and the fellow hounds that are tuning in here already. I so appreciate you showing up and being in this space with all of us here today. So without further ado, I would love to invite my guests up to the stage. We have Miss Tammy Cohen, Dr. Rebecca Kokendorfer, and Russ Hedge. Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
It's so great to be here.
Yes. And, there's some people that might not be aware of what you do or about just give us a little glimpse, right, about how cancer entered your story. So please, I know, Russ, this is old hat for you. I'm gonna highlight you first as you share who you are and how that has touched your life, your cancer story.
Well, thank you so much, April. You are such a blessing. I really appreciate you. Such an honor to be on with Tammy and Rebecca today. And I'm all about people. I love people. I'm about connection and community building. I've been in sales and marketing my whole life. I am now an inspirational speaker, a live stream podcaster, a international best-selling author, and a marketing coach. But it's all about people. And it's really interesting because about 3.5 years ago, found what we thought was a wart on the bottom of my foot that became melanoma. That, in short, went from my foot to my brain, and I was at stage 4. The last year was pretty crazy. And in that last year, I wrote, life happens, and then you choose every day. That happens to all of us. Life is happening, and we're making choices. I have been choosing to let God work through me to inspire and encourage other people and tell them that, you know what, in spite of circumstances, I'm okay. And life is still good. And there's so many positive things in spite of the challenges. So that is what life happens, and then you choose is all about: perspective, resilience. And by the way, that's my word of 2026, coincidentally enough, is resilience. And so went from perspective last year to resilience. So that's really the short of it for me.
Oh, thank you so much, Russ. It is so important to recognize the resiliency that we each hold, instead of keeping up on that hamster wheel of having to do this, that, and the other. Step back, recognize that, and just that faith and that support that you've had has just been phenomenal. You
Yes.
are an inspiration also. So thank you for being here. So appreciate you. Tammy, can you share a little bit about yourself and how cancer entered your story?
Well, I just want to say how grateful I am also that I met you, April, and Ross, and also Troy. I give a shout out to Mike Asherbranner too. So that's where we met, and I got to start sharing my story there of what was going on and what was happening. But in the other part of my life, my business is brand messaging. I'm known as a messenger. I'm in connection. So Russ and I have a lot of that in common too. My mantra is, to people like that, they're superpowers, that they're human being first. So one of the most interesting things for me is when the pandemic started, and I had been traveling and working very hard, and all of my validation was external. That's how I had validation for myself. I started really doing the deep dive into why I was miserable and what was going on with me. And I already had an autoimmune disease, type 1 diabetes, from the time I was 22. And I was kind of just trying to learn and try to figure out why am I unhappy? So I started doing a lot of mindset work, right? And I'm sure Dr. Rebecca she wrote a book about this. So I started really getting into it. I was like, Unleash the Power Within, Mind Valley, life coach, business. I was all over the place, right? But I was learning such fascinating things. I was learning things that were blowing my mind away. And I realized, hey, nobody teaches this stuff in school. So what I started doing was sharing it with my sons. Like everything I was learning, I started reaching out to my sons. I realized very quickly, and I know this for a fact, I own a restaurant also on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's holding a phone. Nobody's having in-person conversations. The phone is in your hands, in your pocket. It's in your purse. It's there. It doesn't matter how old you are. Everybody's kind of sucked into their phone. So I said, okay, I'm going to use the phone to do something good because I'm going to build a messaging habit with my kids where I'm going to message them every day. I'm going to share wisdom, something that I'm learning. I'm not there to lecture them or advise them. But what happened was I started sharing love, my gratitude for them, how worthy they are, how extraordinary they are, because I didn't hear those messages growing up. And I realized they probably might not have heard them from me either because I wasn't in the right place. So that kind of led me on to a mission. My second book, Text Messages to My Sons, a guide to using mobile devices to connect and communicate with your kids, published not long ago. And what was really fascinating to me is because I've messaged a lot about resilience. This is this is an important word. And then I got a cancer diagnosis a year ago.
It's been a year today.
22nd, I got the phone call with the diagnosis. And, it was shocking for me. But I also realized there's something else, like it was shocking at that moment. And then I realized I had to tell my kids. Of course, I told them. And that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But what was amazing was how can I ask them to be resilient and when I'm not resilient? So what I really realized that I've been for the last 6 years, as I've been messaging every day, I've been really messaging myself. I connected to God. Every message I sent to them was a message for me. And I never even realized how much it rippled to everywhere else I was going. I was talking to anybody, business, community, friends. It was all rippling around and it really connected me to God. I realized God had me messaging myself to be ready for this and to get my act together. And that's pretty much where I'm at. And I want to share that with people. That's my mission, is to just get one person to message somebody that they matter every day. That's it.
That's so important. Thank you so much, Tammy. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that and your book and everything that you have experienced because of being that ripple effect. And speaking ripple effect, my dear friend, Dr. Rebecca Kokender is here. And so, Dr. Rebecca, share about who you are and when cancer entered your story too.
I have 2 experiences with cancer. None of them my own, interestingly. So 4 years ago, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. She caught it too late when she was understandably really scared. And I said, okay, you may not be able to control the outcome. So what about if we detach from outcome and instead you get to decide who you're going to be on this journey? You found yourself driving in a lane that you can't get out of, but you still get to choose who you want to be, how you want to show up. So we named her journey Love Fest. And everywhere she went, she hugged people, the doctors, the nurses, the people in the rooms having the treatments with her. We thanked her friends for bringing her peppermint ice cream. And it became such a loving and love experience. And then 2 years ago, my son was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And, it's kind of the nightmare when your child has cancer. And he'd had surgery, and the family was kind of circling the wagon, sitting outside on the swing. And he confessed that he was feeling a little afraid about starting chemotherapy the next day. So then I said to him, I go, why? Words are really powerful. What about if we say that you are having a healing session at the healing center? Ah, that relaxed him so much, and it changed our experience for it. And my daughter, who had seen me with my sister, her aunt, she said, I think we should call David's Cancer Together Fest, that we were going to be on that with him together. So when it was time to shave his head because his hair was falling out, his sister did it. And we joked and we made light of it. And we traded off on who was visiting with him during his chemotherapy sessions. And there was the therapy dog, part of our Together Fest, and tie-dye blankets and tie-dye hats. So we turned his journey, both of them, into something beautiful and meaningful. And he even made videos for people too about what he was learning about the power of intention, about the power of words. And boy, that made him feel very powerful as well, that he had some agency over the experience that he was having. And I'm very happy to report that last May was his 2-year cancer-free anniversary. And with testicular cancer, there's a less than 7% chance that it will come back. So he wanted to celebrate by walking the Camino in Portugal to celebrate his strengths and his resilience. And he invited me to go with him. So how lucky was that? So yeah, so that was my experience with it, was being with other people and helping them stay centered and living in intention during their experience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for sharing that. I mean, it is so true when we show up and as Tammy said, you know, making that connection with her sons and Russ sharing in his communities. I mean, this is what it's all about, is being transparent, being vulnerable, sharing when sometimes things aren't flowing as it's not going to be yippee skippy here. You know, we're talking about cancer, but the way that you each approached it with such courage, even when I'm sure you were scared through it, right? Can you share a little bit about that? What really helped you through those scary moments, through those, you know, dark times possibly, or questioning? Yeah, who would like to go first? Russ?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, or Tammy, ladies first.
No, you go first, Russ, because you went first last time.
Well, Tammy and I, by the way, had such a great conversation just a while ago. But yeah, there's times, you're right. I mean, when you hear you have cancer, it's a scary thing. You know, it is kind of startling. I resolved it pretty quickly when it first started because it was on the bottom of my foot and they were going to do surgery and they felt pretty confident they were going to get it and it was going to be all over. And so after my initial startling, I was only at 2A to start. So they thought, yeah, not going to be a big deal after I had some time to think about it. And, you know, God really gave me the peace too. And you're going to make it, it's going to be okay. And, but then when they did surgery, they found in my lymph node system that it had already metastasized. And then I was already at 3C and having to have treatment, which a couple of rounds of the treatment, my body didn't do so good. And lots of side effects and things that happened through that. And so there's been times when, you know, I'm the happy, upbeat guy, but there's been times when I have definitely not been happy. And I always tell people to have a good perspective, and I do always intentionally work to keep a good perspective, which does not mean you're always happy. Mm-hmm. Keeping a good perspective does not mean you're always happy. There's times it's okay not to be okay. When you have high fevers, you're throwing up, you're breaking out in hives, and your pancreas shuts down, you become a type 1 diabetic, and your body starts shutting down, and you are thinking, well, God, this might be the moment. It might be it, you know, and it is a little scary. So I've been there in those moments, but really God gives me the peace and the strength to make it through. I'm just a strong believer that, you know, Jesus is going to take care of it for me. And my amazing community. I have a just amazing wife. I married way up. My wife, Leah, is always there by my side, always with me, always taking care of me. My daughter, Kyla, and my son, Connor, and his wife, Gabby, all my family right there. My mother and father-in-law, go on and on. I mean, and then my community of friends. When I decided to share, first time I posted, God really said, hey, you need to do this to help inspire others with what you're going through. First time that happened, tens of thousands of people connected with me. It was just like crazy because everybody has stuff going on. And every day life is happening and everybody's having to choose what are they going to do with that? What their perspective going to be? How are they going to move forward? Right. And so that's really, what I've been all about when I keep myself with that perspective that I just take one step at a time. Sometimes they're little teeny baby steps, one step at a time, and it makes all the difference.
Thank you, Russ. Yeah, you're getting all sorts of love and shout outs from Keith Mercer, from, Mike Asherbranner. We have so many hounds here. And it's wonderful that you could feel comfortable to reach out. That is so important. We need that sanctuary of support, knowing that, we might feel that it's not going well, although
Right.
knowing you have a community and loved ones to lean into.
And that can be the hardest thing, April. If I could just add that being the hardest thing for me was I'm a guy. I'm all good. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And one day my daughter, my 35-year-old daughter, looked at me and she said, Dad, you're not okay. You're not okay. And that just it just hit me. I mean, she says, you need people's help. You need help. You need to let people help you. And it was hard to do that. But I finally got my mindset wrapped around the fact that, yes, I cannot do this. We're not meant to fly life solo. God created us for community and for people. And so we're meant to help each other. And my daughter says, you've been helping people your whole life. It's time just to let people help you. So just a hard thing to really wrap your brain around, but it's such a blessing, such a blessing.
Yeah, we need that community of support for sure. And being courageous to ask. Yes. Tammy, what do you have to contribute to this? I call it stone soup of collective consciousness. We're each contributing. And
well, first, I just want to say I love you too, Mike, by the way. Okay, because I saw the comment. But, when you first get the diagnosis, you go into shock a bit. I remember when I got the call, because I did the biopsy 2 days before, and the first thing they say to you is, are you driving? And that's how you know, like, what do you mean? I live in Manhattan. I don't drive. It's an Uber. And that's what I said. And I go, are you asking me that because you want me to pull over to the side of the road? Because she goes, yes, I would need you to pull over to the side of the road. So like, you're like, and I go into everything being like, okay, it's nothing. Like, you want to do more pictures? Do more pictures. You want to take a biopsy because it's nothing. And I've always had that mindset, like it's nothing. But then there was something, and what was even crazier is I didn't tell anybody. I just told my husband and my aunt. My aunt is my mom because my parents passed and everything. But I told my aunt, and that was it. And I immediately I'm the type of person when something happens, I just shut down. My brain shuts down, and apparently that's a normal response. Your brain goes into, what do I need to do to get through this? And, boom, you become like autopilot. So I was like, okay, I got the names of the surgeons. I'm calling a surgeon. They told me what to do. I'm going to transfer the records. Or I'm going to move this. I'm going to do it. A couple of hours later, the next morning, I find my son, he was 24 at the time, on the floor of his bedroom. He had a sudden onset grand mal seizure and fractured and dislocated both his shoulders. I didn't even know like he had done it, that I didn't know was wrong. He was also freezing. The heat was not on in his room. And he was like laying all night up against a freezing radiator and basically underwear, calling, EMTs because it was a nightmare. So now I have two very big things, and he's going to the hospital, and I'm like, so your brain is a brilliant thing. It gets you to move. It gets you moving forward. What do I need to do? What needs to happen? God was listening to everything I said. I didn't even realize that. I kept saying, like, God's listening to me, because everything, the appointment for the breast surgeon was in a week. My son, when he got out of the hospital, the best surgeon, because I know a lot of people and they were giving recommendations, was able to see him in a couple of days. Like, my surgery was scheduled, his surgery was before mine, so that I could take care of him still. Even when I went into chemo, I was like, oh, I got this, I'm like, I can do it. But you go through so many different things. But what was really quite amazing for me, in the midst of everything, and chemo is horrid, okay? And that's what they destroy you to get rid of something. In a lot of ways, they change you. Your molecular structure is completely altered. And then I went through radiation. But what was amazing to me is I never really was a person who could feel empathy or feel compassion. I was talking to Russ about this. Somebody could tell me a story, and I know that was a sad story. It was hard for me to feel things. But what I did learn, and this was through God too, and I messaged every day, as sick as I was, okay, that not only did I start feeling empathy and compassion, but I saw the goodness. So many people, the prayers, the reaching out, the people, bringing me stuff, people caring, like I never even thought about that, because anybody would ever ask me, even at my lowest points in life, how are you doing? I'd be like, I'm fine. How are you? I'm good. How are you? That was always like, I really relate to that with Russ. I was always like that. And maybe the way I was raised, like I never asked. Somebody gave me a compliment, I couldn't even take it most of my life. And if anybody said, if I need any, I would never ask. I would never ask for anything, because I didn't think I deserved it. And with this whole situation, I learned how to ask for help. And I saw all of the amazing people who just wanted to help me. And that just, flipped me out. And even with my kids, when I shared the diagnosis with them, and they were like, we got this. We're the Cohens. You're strong. And they were like, what can I do for you? Every day they were messaging me, what do you need? What can I do? And you know what? It just blew me away. The kindness. You don't really think about how kind people really inherently are good. And that's what I learned, like, through this whole thing. And people would always say, you're really, you're so good. You're so positive. You're so this. I said, I started realizing, how can I not be? I have God, and I have people who care. People who care. That's it. That's all you need. And with Dr. Rebecca's story was just blowing me away, especially when it comes to your kid, because I also had and what you're saying about your sister, but just how you were with him and how you made him feel,
Yes.
that feeling that love can conquer anything. It can.
Exactly. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you for sharing that. And moving over to you, Rebecca, that the news that you received, when your son had the cancer, and I know that you were able to shift it, but what was that underlining tone? What did you notice? What happened for you or for your son? And then how did that transition?
My work focuses on how to process human emotions. And something that really helps people is the Harvard work that emotions only last 90 seconds. Which that was one of the biggest takeaways in the Calm Mind study that I ran. 200 people tested a emotional processing technique called notice, name, relax, release. And the biggest takeaway was, you're kidding. No matter how many emotions I'm having, or even when it's terror or something huge, a tsunami, the chemical lifespan of that emotion is really just a minute and a half. If We don't cram it down. If we cram it down, it can last a lifetime. If we cram that emotion, or if we wrap it in story and let it mean something about us, then that can last a lifetime. But the natural lifespan of an emotion is just 90 seconds. And the key is you have to take a breath and just kind of almost mentally lean back and let the emotions move through you, move through you. Otherwise, these emotions become trapped in us. Buddhism calls it samskaras. Or a visual that can help is that in the road trip of life, emotions that we don't release on a regular basis, they're like bugs on our windshield. And then every interaction we have through life hits the bugs on our windshield. We see
I
it
love that. I so love that.
not through clarity, but we see it through the bugs on our windshield. So I think that one of the most helpful things to remind yourself and your loved ones when life gets lifey, because it does, is that the human experience is that we are emotional beings and they're not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. We have lots of emotions all the time, but that the lifespan of the emotion, at least according to Harvard and in the Calm Mind study, they supported this. It's only 90 seconds. So emotions are nothing to be afraid of. Even when they're really big, even when they're huge, nothing to be afraid of. You just give them their 90 seconds. Let them move on through. And then there's going to be another emotion, and there's going to be happiness, and there's going to be joy. And usually by the time you finish processing your emotions, checking in throughout the day, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling this, big breath. I feel better. I feel relief. So I would encourage people to remember that emotions, nothing to be afraid of. They only last 90 seconds. You are so brave to watch them from your observer self and just let them move through, move through, move through.
Yes, exactly. And it is scary because the body is responding and you're really feeling like you are going to die or there's a huge threat, and your body is so alert and ready to, it's that fight, flight, freeze, right? And it's hardwired in our minds. So I love that, Dr. Rebecca. I know that I was with you at the Hollow Life Summit when you presented your book and you talked about the windshield effect, and it makes it so much easier. It sounds really easy, but is it that easy though at first? What do you recommend? Seriously. I mean, Tammy's like raising her finger like, I don't know.
Because a lot of times emotions become thoughts. And those
Yes,
thoughts are
the
what
ground. Exactly. The groundbreaking research now is that we all know that thoughts cause feelings, but according to the Gray-LaViolette study, one emotion can cause 1,000 thoughts. So by releasing our emotions on a regular basis, keeping our emotional windshield clear, we have a quieter and a calmer mind. So that's the new groundbreaking research. And I find that fascinating. And at least in the Calm Mind study, 200 people testing this, we're finding it to be true. That if you can just keep noticing from a place of distance, right? Oh, right now you don't say something like, I'm afraid. You say, I am feeling afraid, because you are not your emotions. You're having emotions. And
Right.
that's separation is really important. This higher self, this divine self, this person inside of you is observing these emotions going on. And then you just keep noticing them, then you release them, and it results in a spaciousness and in a quieter mind. And then emotions come in again. And just like in the Calm Mind study, the group that had the most success, they set their timers for 5 times a day. And when the timer went off, they would pause and they would say, what emotions am I experiencing right now? I'm feeling irritated. I'm feeling angry. And the key is you have to take a big breath and then almost see the bubble of that emotion coming up and out of you. And you can feel when it has left you, because there is that feeling, I feel better. Their
Yeah.
feeling of relief.
For sure. There's less
Yeah.
charge in our
Right.
nervous system.
Yeah.
It's less in that charge. We're building resiliency through that practice. And so many people are commenting here. I mean, Amanda was asking, how can we teach people about their emotions? And I highly encourage you to reach out to Dr. Rebecca and have that discussion with her. And we're going to also talk about each of your books as well, as I made a little PowerPoint slide. And so I just want to add it to the stage. And we're going to, since yours is first, Tammy, on this PowerPoint, tell us a little bit more about your book. I see you have some awards there as well. I just want to keep it mindful to the chat. So, just give us a little breakdown about that and where people can find your book too.
So text messages, this is the second edition that was published. So basically, it's the only book, it's like the first book written in text message format. So that means it's very easy to read. It's easy to get through. And it's about 11 chapters where the messages that apply to a certain category, like there's love and there's gratitude and appreciation, there's mindfulness and accountability, there's discipline and determination, leadership, the kind of messaging concepts that I sent, that's what the chapters represent, and those messages fit into that chapter. And basically the why of it, like why message those kind of messages? Why put that out there? Why share that kind of wisdom or that kind of information with anybody, with your kids? It doesn't have to be a kid. It's just using a mobile device, using something that could actually steal your kids' focus or steal anybody's focus 24/7, because that's what algorithms do. Okay, cause a lot of distraction, indoctrinate and put misinformation out there. But your purpose is to be that safe space, to be that beacon of light, to be the foundational support person in somebody's life. And you send that message, and that's what the point of the book is, and the why of it, and what my hope is for you to get out of this. Like what my hope is that you'll feel after you send these kind of messages. Each chapter has that kind of an epilogue in it and an introduction. So you can find it on Amazon. It's also online at Barnes & Noble. It's in several bookshops too, which is basically, there are links on my website, which is Tammy J. Cohen. It's easy. It's all Tammy J. Cohen, pretty much. And this is just the second book. Just the award season just started. So I've been blessed to get a couple already. And we're first going into 2026. So we'll see what happens. But that's all
I'm
good
sure.
stuff. Yeah. And I just, it's simple. Okay. Like I said, it's not a complex practice. It's not something that you have to go through a lot of sessions on,
Yeah, and we got to think about young people too.
Yeah.
How they receive information is short, to the point. Reading a whole novel, that's the difference between my generation and my son. I'll write the whole novel in the text message, and he replies, one sentence if I'm
Well, you know
lucky.
what? The truth is that the main thing with this is no expectations in return. You send the message, it's unconditional love. There is absolutely zero expectations for a response, because that's not the point of it. And listen, my kids, they don't respond sometimes. They don't respond many days. And a lot of times you tell me my message is too long.
Yes.
Your message is too long. And I'm like,
those light touches, right? Dr. Rebecca, I think yours is next. Yeah. Mindful living made easy.
Yeah. Funny thing is that even though I wrote this book, I just love it so much. I love the cover. I love the book. Even every time I had to edit it, I just found it to be so readable, and I really enjoyed it. And even though I'm a meditator and a journaler, boy, sometimes you don't have time. And so this book is about 90-second science-based practices that quiet your mind and nurture your soul. So and it's a bestseller now in the United States and in Canada and Australia. And I'm out on book tour all this year, having such a great time speaking and doing interviews. I think it's so important, this whole idea that emotions only last 90 seconds. I think that's the big difference maker, and giving people other 90-second practices to keep bringing them back to center again and again.
Yes, it is so true. We need to bring ourselves back. And you touch, though, about your little stories of what was happening with your son, too, in this book, don't you?
Yeah. And, you know, and the funny thing, too, just really quickly, people who look at my life now, they don't know what my beginning was. I was born into poverty, spent my time in the projects. The first 9 years of my life living in the projects, chicken necks for dinner, cockroaches, no shoes, changing schools 3 times a year. And then my parents died. My father died, and 2 weeks later, my mother died. And I went to live with my aunt and uncle. And they lived so differently. They had a clean house. They had carpeting. I had new clothes for the first time. I had enough food. I had care. And one time I asked my aunt, I said, how are you able to live this way? But your brother, my father, lived this other way. And she said, honey, you are the designer of your life. So we talked a lot here on this call about mission. That has always been my mission, this idea of life design. And it sure helps to be a designer of your life if you have mindfulness to know who you are, what you want, what your gifts are, and to be able to process your emotions along the way, because we are emotional beings. Human beings are emotional beings. So I love this book. I love this work. And being able to do interviews like this and to meet all of you. I just enjoy it so much. Thank you.
And we love that you're here with us, Rebecca. Thank you. And Russ, yes, your book. I had to put this up here because Mike sent me a picture of him with your book. Share about your book and, how I know you said earlier that as you went through this process, you realized life happens and then you choose. So can you break that down a little bit more for us?
Well, first off, Dr. Rebecca and Tammy, amazing. We all think very similarly, and I'm learning so much today from all of you, and so thank you. I'm all about intentional living. So just like Dr. Rebecca talked about, being mindful and intentional about how we live. And as life is happening, we're making choices every day, thousands of choices every day. And, Dr. Rebecca, you talked about, the peace and the calm and where you're at, as a person, how you're living, and just, giving yourself that space and that peacefulness and all that you're doing. And I'm for that. Every morning, I have a morning routine where I start off with that. I start off with prayer devotions and just time for myself, exercise, and some things that really help me get moving, quieting the voices. But also, as I talk about in Life Happens and Then You Choose, I'm all about positive self-talk, because your mind you start hearing voices, and I replace those intentionally with positive self-talk. And I use that to actually propel my life in a positive manner, talking about that I am thankful and I am blessed and I'm grateful for what I have, for God, my beautiful wife, and my family, that I've got this. I have the talents and abilities God gave me to really do positive things. And today is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to good things. And I talk to myself positively before I would get out of bed in the morning. And then I continue to do that throughout the day, because you get busy and stressed and things happen and you start to worry and things happen. And so I replace that again with positive thought. Hey, it's all right. I've got this. You know what? Things are going to be good. Life is good. I'm all over this. And so Life Happens and Then You Choose is really a book in the making for many years. But it came out of my first book, which was called Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. Don't live befuddled, but live the life you choose. And that title was thanks to my beautiful wife, who one day saw me really befuddled. And I had so many people tell me, I can't choose the life that I live. And I said, yes, you can. I said, life happens, then you choose. So you can't choose what happens to you, but you get to choose your perspective and where you go from there. This lies out things in my life, a tragic car accident, a near-death car accident that I had at 19. after my freshman year in college, where I was flown life flight to a hospital and almost died. By God's grace, I made it through that. Then I went through the seasons later in life with my parents. Mama died from Alzheimer's. Dad had lung cancer and dementia. And then right on the heels of Mama passing away, going to heaven, I was diagnosed with cancer. And then I've been going through that and all the side effects from that. And every day through all of that, life has been happening, just like it is for all of you, everybody watching. I've been making positive choices and keeping a positive perspective. And that's what it's all about. And that's what the book is all about. So thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for being courageous enough to write your story, Russ. And I just want to ask, for those who want to connect with you, what is the best way to connect with you?
Well, I'm a simple-minded guy. Easiest way is russhedge.com. If you know my name, you can find it. And all my connection links are there. Everything is there about me, what I do, even my cancer journey, lots of stories about that and live streams that I've been on, podcasts. And then, all the connection links. And I love LinkedIn. So if you like LinkedIn Messenger, you can go there too. Just go to Russ Hedge, you'll find me. But russhedge.com is the best.
Awesome. And just one sentence, a word of advice or anything that you want to share with the listeners and viewers today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, be thoughtful about your life and keeping a good perspective. And remember, like I said before, a good perspective doesn't mean you're happy all the time, but think about what you think about. Think about what you think about, because that drives your life and your actions and the direction you head. And just like Dr. Rebecca said, you are the designer of your life. So go make it happen.
Go make it happen. Yes, we're going to make it happen with Dr. Rebecca too. How do you want people to reach out to you?
Mine's hard because my last name is my poor children, 12 letters. Rebecca, thank you for putting that up there. Spelling that. Rebecca Kokendorfer at gmail.com. Easiest is probably the book on Amazon to look for. Oh, thank you for the LinkedIn too. But to look for Mindful Living Made Easy by Dr. Rebecca. That has contact information there too. But my poor children could read small books before they could spell their own last name.
And any last minute takeaways for those watching here?
Yeah. Don't be afraid of your emotions. They own the natural lifespan of an emotion is just 1.5 minutes. So make it a practice before you make a call, before you go into a business meeting, before you come home to your kids, when you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed. Just tune in and ask yourself, what emotions am I experiencing right now? And remember, don't say I am, say I am feeling nervous. I am feeling happy. I'm feeling excited. Or you can say fear is present, something like that. But give yourself a distance, because you are not your emotions. You are having emotions. Big difference.
Exactly. You're not owning it and keeping it for yourself. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here. And Tammy, how do you want people to reach out to you?
Okay, so my email is connect@tammyjcohen.com. And my website is the same name, tammyjcohen.com. And Russ and I laugh at, I'm like Russ. It's Russ Hedge. It's Tammy J. Cohen. That's it. It's pretty. And LinkedIn, the same thing. Instagram, the same thing. So reach me any way you'd like. I think connection, any way you can do it, is a wonderful thing. And really, thank you so much for having me on. And the last thought is, our superpower, your superpower is you're a human being. It's, everybody always well, what's your power? And everybody comes up with this, and this, but you're a human being first. And that's a glorious thing, because you were created by God, and you have choice. Like Russ said, like with design your life, like Dr. Rebecca's talking about. And yes, you have choice. Now, you can lead with empathy, compassion, love, and gratitude. Okay. Those are the highest frequency vibrating energies in the world. I know when I send a message of love and gratitude, when I let somebody know they matter, when I talk to somebody like they matter, whether it's in my community, a friend, whoever, okay? The energy I'm releasing is like up here. I feel so much better. Talk about emotions.
Yes.
I feel so
Yes.
uplifted after something like that experience. And
Exactly.
remember the
Let's
recipient of that message.
Yeah,
Okay?
let's
Recipient.
uplift everyone, right?
The
Because we
energy is up
uplift
here.
ourselves in the process too.
So look at all that
Um,
energy up here. And hate and violence is very low energy. So what's gonna win? The higher energy. So like let's focus on getting that out there because you might not
yes,
be able to see it, but it's a real thing.
it is because we can feel that expansion within ourselves. That's another conversation we'll have. Thank you so much, friends, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and all the amazing comments. I couldn't get to everyone, but so appreciate you all for showing up, for supporting these courageous souls. And please reach out to them. Get those books. Why not be inspired? Read something that really fills your heart, as we are the ripple effect for everyone in our lives, including ourselves. So thank you so much. Much love to you all. And until next time, keep living with intention.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.